Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today of course I'm doing my review of the WWE Royal Rumble 2014. Do remember to subscribe. I've just passed 17,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. I just passed 17,000 subscribers today, and we're already on 17,300 subscribers, so make sure you do join my channel and subscribe and join 17,000 other people who love watching my pay-per-view reviews. As soon as a pay-per-view is finished, I review it and get it uploaded around 2 hours after the show. I'm from the UK, so I'm doing this at 4 o'clock. It's now 4:04 in the morning. And I'm doing a review of the WWE Royal Rumble 2014. Do remember to subscribe, and also love it if you like this video as well. Share it with your friends on Twitter and Facebook if you liked any of the thoughts I actually say, because I'm going to review it and there's going to be some things you agree with or disagree with. So what you can do is share it like that, but also comment. You can comment your thoughts on the pay-per-view yourself, and also comment on the things I say, because you're not necessarily going to agree with everything I say, because it was a very, very controversial pay-per-view. And you will hear a lot of thoughts on my things that you might not necessarily agree with. So get down in the comment section and talk about the pay-per-view with other wrestling fans. So remember, mainly subscribe, because I review pretty much every WWE show. So today, of course, we are reviewing the Royal Rumble 2014. And I'm gonna be honest, I am very, very disappointed as a long-time WWE fan about this Royal Rumble 2014. Of course, as usual, I'm going to review every single match in detail, give a score for every match. I'm also going to give a score for the overall pay-per-view, so watch out for that. But just as an overall view, very, very disappointed. Very, very surprised they've gone with Batista to win the Royal Rumble. I'm not particularly surprised. I'm just disappointed. That's the main thought coming out of my head at the moment, is I'm disappointed, and not necessarily surprised they went with him, but slightly surprised that they actually have the cheek to give it to Batista when there's obviously two words, Daniel Bryan, who much, much, much better deserved to win this Royal Rumble match. So, really, really disappointed about a few of the results. There was actually a few surprising results in this pay-per-view as well, which I will get onto, which not necessarily is a bad thing at all, but I'm just surprised how they went around with a few of the matches. So we're going to get on all to that, but as a main thing, a disappointed WWE fan sat here doing a review, so sorry if I sound slightly pissed off. Just really, really angry at a few of the things they've done tonight, and the fact that they're actually going with Batista versus Randy Orton at the main event of WrestleMania 30, when they're supposed to be building confidence in the fans, considering the WWE Network is just around the corner. It's the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania. Batista's only just come back. We all know it's all about the money. Yet they gave it to Batista. I've just listed 4 things why they shouldn't have given it to Batista, and they have. So it's left a really, really sour taste in my mouth about this whole pay-per-view, even though for the first hour, maybe hour and a half, I quite liked this pay-per-view. So we're going to start off with the Kickoff show. We always start off with the Kickoff show review, and as always, another solid Kickoff show by the WWE. Every single Kickoff show, they seem to better themselves. Once in a while, there's one match which is absolutely amazing. I think at Payback, they had a great match between Ziggler and Sheamus. At Money in the Bank, they had the Usos against the Shield. Really, really good match. I think even at SummerSlam, Dean Ambrose versus Rob Van Dam. Great match. And yet again, another freaking mental awesome match between, yes, the New Age Outlaws and Cody Rhodes and Goldust. Very, very surprising that this match wasn't on the pay-per-view, and especially the fact that it wasn't on the pay-per-view when they changed the titles, and the fact that the heels actually won in this match. So for me, a very, very big surprise factor that the New Age Outlaws got the win. So for me, as a WWE fan, I'm actually quite satisfied with that, because in a TV show that's quite predictable, and you get things like that crop up once in a while that's just really not predictable, I really, really like it, because I did my prediction and I said no way the New Age Outlaws win on the pre-show, and then they would. I like things like that are surprising. I did not expect in a million years for the New Age Outlaws to win. I could see why people were saying it, I just couldn't see them win it, and then they went on to win. Great surprising thing to crop out like that. That's just a great thing I like as being a WWE fan. Once in a while they do something which you just don't expect, and that's one of those things. A really, really good way to kick off the pre-show. And another reason why I did like the pre-show is, before we actually talk about the match quality, was the fact that the panel, they had another great panel. The kickoff shows are really, really good nowadays. You had Hacksaw Jim Duggan, which won the first Royal Rumble. You also had, of course, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and then you had, of course, Ric Flair on the panel alongside Josh Matthews interviewing everybody. The charisma was there. There was some great energy, some great chemistry between all three of them, sharing their thoughts about the Royal Rumble. Obviously have a lot of experience in the Royal Rumble. They obviously are all three Hall of Famers, which is absolutely great. They just had so much energy. It was funny. It was just awesome to listen to. Really, really good pick by the WWE to pick these people who were just so relevant to the Royal Rumble. Ric Flair, of course, won the first ever WWE Championship Royal Rumble. Hacksaw Jim Duggan actually won the first ever Royal Rumble. And of course, Shawn Michaels is the only person to win back-to-back Royal Rumble. So really, really three great guys to be on the panel. I listened to all of it. Didn't seem scripted like usual. I think at TLC especially, it was a very, very scripted panel. They all taught things which were down on a script. But I think a lot of this was just off their own heads, which really showed. I listened to it because it wasn't stale and boring. It felt like it was actually their words. So usually on a few kickoff shows, it's really, really scripted, but this just didn't feel scripted. I could feel the energy. It was great. I was listening, and that's always good. It's great to have three guys that loads of people respect, and they're also going to listen to them, so they're more likely to be interested in what they're saying, so they're more interested to buy the pay-per-view if they respect these guys and listen to what they're saying. But the main reason why I like this, because it didn't feel scripted. It felt like they were talking from their own head, which was great. I hate things when Michael Cole just listens to the people in his ear when he's talking. It just doesn't sound natural at all, but this was fine. Didn't sound scripted at all, in my opinion, which is always great. So for that, great start to the kickoff show. The panel was great. Really, really liked the energy in this. And then we had the match. This was probably one of the most exciting matches on a kickoff show. A very, very highly anticipated match, in my opinion. I thought that the Cody Rhodes and Goldust were actually going to retain their titles here, so yet again, very, very surprised that they didn't. So to me, I was anticipating this match as Cody Rhodes and Goldust to win, but I always thought it was going to be a great match, and yes, it was a very, very good match. I would have loved if it had an extra 5 or more, maybe 10 minutes onto this match, because to be honest, the pacing was there. There's some really, really nice spots. Remember, Goldust actually did a 360 spin from the apron onto, I believe it was, I can't remember which one of the New Age Outlaws it was. I think it was Road Dogg. And then what happened was Cody Rhodes jumped off the top rope onto the badass Billy Gunn, which was awesome. I think that was the right way around, but it was a really, really good spot and one of my favourite spots in the match. Really, there was a sunset flip by Goldust. The pacing was the main thing I liked about this match. Very, very good pacing to the match. The crowd were really, really into this match, but the only thing I probably didn't like about this match was I'm not particularly sure. I can't tell, as a fan watching it on TV, if the New Age Outlaws are supposed to be a heel gimmick or a face gimmick, because they put them on the mic as soon as they came out to the crowd, and it just felt like they got a face reaction. They didn't say anything heelish whatsoever. The crowd were cheering them. The commentators weren't necessarily saying anything bad about them. But a few weeks later, they turned on probably one of the biggest faces in the WWE, CM Punk. So as a fan, or somebody in the audience, are they supposed to boo or cheer the New Age Outlaws? It was difficult to tell whether they were face or heel. Or are they just not going to go with this face or heel gimmick, and they're just going to go with them as face? Maybe they've just pulled the plug on the fact that they're going to turn them heel, and they're just going to make them have them as a face now that they're the 6-time tag team champions. That was the only thing I didn't like about this match. Was, as a fan, probably in the actual crowd, are you supposed to boo or cheer the New Age Outlaws, considering they looked very, very face on this pay-per-view, even though they turned on CM Punk a few weeks ago and were teamed up with the Shield, the heel team, on Friday Night SmackDown? Very difficult to tell. What are the New Age Outlaws? Are they heel or face? Who are we supposed to cheer? It's a bit of a touchy subject, and I'm not really sure what we're supposed to do. I'd really, really like them to, the WWE, to actually show us what do they want us to do with the New Age Outlaws, because here, it looked like they were faces, but I don't really have a lot of problem with that. I can't understand why they'd want to turn them heel anyway, but let's have a see how it goes. But to be honest, maybe they'll carry that up on Monday Night Raw tonight. The fact that they were handed a title match and maybe they were in it with the Authority because the Authority don't like Cody Rhodes and Goldust, remember. Maybe that they will... It's just difficult to tell if they're heel or face. Maybe they'll actually discuss that on Monday Night Raw about how they wouldn't have won it if they weren't handed a title match. But to be honest, the match was great. Great pacing. Really, really good spots in this match. Really, really surprising that they actually won. But the ending... I wasn't really a fan of the ending either. I think that the fact that Cody Rhodes took the pinfall was a bit of a bad decision because really, they only put the tag team titles on Cody Rhodes and Goldust, and they probably only brought Goldust back to put over Cody Rhodes. They only put him in this tag team titles as the tag team champions really was to give the titles to Cody and let him run with it. They wanted to push him to the limit. They wanted to literally push him down the stairs, a proper full-on push, so they gave him the tag team titles. And the fact that Cody Rhodes, the fact that when they lost these championships tonight, Cody Rhodes was the one that got pinned. I think it would have been a lot better if Goldust took the pin here. But to be honest, the finish was quite clever. I mean, Cody Rhodes, he hit the disaster kick on, I believe it was Road Dogg, but Road Dogg had earlier been tagged by Billy Gunn, so Cody Rhodes hit the disaster kick on Road Dogg, and obviously he couldn't pin him because he wasn't actually the one that was tagged in, so Billy Gunn turned Cody Rhodes around and hit the Famouser. So to be honest, it's not exactly a full clean victory. It's still called a clean victory, but still, Cody Rhodes only got defeated by a mistake where he didn't notice that Billy Gunn had actually been tagged in. So really, a clean victory, but still a bit of a hazy victory right there. They actually won just because Cody Rhodes didn't realise that Billy Gunn had tagged himself in. So really doesn't lose as much momentum if he'd got pinned in the middle of the ring just by a Famouser from Billy Gunn. But to be honest, was Cody Rhodes the one that should have got pinned? I honestly think it should have been Goldust who got the pin, because really Cody Rhodes has only been given these championships to get a push. So for them to actually lose these championships on the kickoff show when Cody Rhodes gets pinned slightly looks quite weak for Cody Rhodes, when they could have easily given the pinfall on Goldust. It wouldn't really matter who it was, but they gave it to Cody Rhodes. I mean, they could have easily just done the same spot with Goldust, but they did it with Cody Rhodes and he has to take the pinfall, so it does look rather weak in this. But to be honest, I'm still quite surprised at the fact that there was no build towards this match at all. There was only maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to build towards this match. It only got announced on Monday Night Raw, and that they lost the championship. I mean, I'd expect for them to, when they lost the championship, for it to be a very, very well-built match, and something which is actually on a pay-per-view. I mean, it really doesn't feel special, or does slightly downgrade the tag team championships that it changed on a kickoff show, with no build necessarily towards this match whatsoever, and it also doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel like Cody Rhodes has been properly defeated. I mean, the fact that he's having a push, and he lost the tag team championships on the kickoff show, it doesn't really feel that special. So the defeat from Cody Rhodes doesn't necessarily feel that special. So it doesn't really put him over that well. I mean, if Cody Rhodes was to lose the championship on a pay-per-view, it would have felt like a bigger victory from the New Age Outlaws. So it kind of downgrades Cody Rhodes slightly, and it degrades the championship as well, because it didn't even make the pay-per-view. So for me, I'm kind of not really too happy that they lost the championship on the kickoff show, when it definitely should have made it onto the pay-per-view, considering the match was very, very good, and it was a championship match, and the titles actually changed hands. I mean, when was the last time we saw a championship change hands on a kickoff show? I believe that was at Payback, when it was... No, sorry, of course it wasn't Payback. It was WrestleMania when The Miz won. So for me, very surprised that they changed the title on a free YouTube show, which is very, very surprising. Didn't really necessarily feel special at all, which is disappointing, because it has been a very, very good and long run by Cody Rhodes. The fact that he's been having a push, of course, I've said it a few times now. So for me, surprised that they didn't put it on the pay-per-view, because it definitely deserved to be on the pay-per-view. Maybe 1 more week of build, this would have been on the pay-per-view, and would have felt like a little bit more special, the fact that Cody Rhodes had finally been defeated. The fact that he's been defeated on the kickoff show just really doesn't feel like that special, in my opinion. But to be honest, great match. Sad that Cody Rhodes got pinned. Kind of sad that they don't have the tag team titles now, but maybe we'll start having some rumours that Cody Rhodes will face Goldust at WrestleMania, considering that Cody Rhodes was eliminated by Goldust in the Royal Rumble. Maybe that's why they made them lose the championship, but still would have liked to see it on the Royal Rumble actual pay-per-view, so it actually felt like a bigger occasion. So they could have, maybe they could have used that even more in this feud that they may start to go with. The fact that it was on the Kickoff show maybe doesn't really feel as big as it could have been. But to be honest, great reaction from the crowd the whole way through the night, but they really made this match pretty good. To be honest, great. Still surprised that a heel won on the actual Kickoff show. Are they face? Are they heel? I don't know. I still think they're heel, to be honest. They were a week ago. So usually have faces win here, because if a heel wins, it leaves a bad taste in the fans' mouth, so they're less likely to buy the pay-per-view. But the heels won here, so I wonder how that really hit them, to be honest. But they're not exactly heel in my... I don't really know how to make it out. They really need to make that clear. But to be honest, I'll give this 8 out of 10. If it was on the pay-per-view and Cody Rhodes didn't take the pinfall, could have easily been a 9 out of 10. Pretty good match. Nice way to start the Kickoff show, and it was free. Definitely deserved to go on the pay-per-view, in my opinion. If there was maybe one more week build towards it, really would have been excited for that match, and probably would have been the most excited for that match out of all the matches on the pay-per-view if it had actually made the pay-per-view. So for me, great job WWE to start off the show, and this was still free, guys, which is great. So the first match on the actual pay-per-view was Bray Wyatt defeating Daniel Bryan. Yes, let's just hear that. Bray Wyatt. Yeah, Bray Wyatt has in fact defeated Daniel Bryan. The most over guy in the WWE has just been defeated by Bray Wyatt on a pay-per-view. Now, this was the first match of WWE's 2014 pay-per-view. So basically, this is their first ever pay-per-view match in 2014. And to be honest, what a great way to start 2014. What a great match. I mean, this was a good sign for me. I was like, wow, what a great freaking match they gave. This is how much confidence they have in both Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan to let them start the first ever pay-per-view match of 2014, and they let them run for 30. It was a good 25, 30-minute match to start a Royal Rumble pay-per-view for both Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. And what a great match it was. Just really surprised about the result. To be honest, the build-up to the match was very good. Really like the build towards this match. I believe it's been going since Survivor Series, but ever since maybe TLC, obviously they had a match at TLC, but I kind of lost my interest around the TLC time. I think it was about a week before it. I wasn't really bothered about this feud. So the fact that they had a TLC match, I wasn't too bothered, and the fact that they booked a Royal Rumble match, I was even less bothered. So I wasn't too happy about this. There was no excitement for me as I woke up to watch this pay-per-view about Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. I wasn't actually that into it. I didn't really care for it. I really wouldn't have bothered if they just had John Cena versus Randy Orton even longer. I mean, I really didn't care for this feud whatsoever at TLC, so why should I care about it for the Royal Rumble? But to be honest, I'm really good they put this on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, because this was easily the best match of the show. It was a very good match. The fact that they gave it so much time, let them do whatever they want, and it was a very good match. Loved it from start to finish. The pacing was great. There was some very good spots. The crowd was absolutely hot for Daniel Bryan. There was yes chants the whole way through. Well, there was yes chants probably the whole way through the show, but especially as Daniel Bryan came out, he easily had the best reaction of the night. But wow, this match was great. This was a very good match. This will easily be my favourite match of 2014. I mean, if this is the first match of 2014 in pay-per-views, imagine what some of the matches are going to be later in this year, because this was a great match. I mean, I think both guys look great. Bray Wyatt hit a freaking awesome, Sister Abigail on the barricade, which looked deadly as hell. Twitter went mental at that. Great move, really original move by Bray Wyatt. I think he's done that a few times, but I don't think he's ever done it in an actual match. So that was a great move from Bray Wyatt, and then he just really got a clean victory in the ring, which really left a bad taste in my mouth, and I really didn't like how they actually ended the match, because to be honest, I have already said this was a great match. It was a long match, but it was great from start to finish. There was great pacing, there was great spots. I like both Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. I think they're great competitors. I really like both of their gimmicks. They have very good gimmicks. So I don't think they could have done anything wrong. There was great build to it, but I'm not necessarily into this feud anymore. So for me, if they had a good match, I was happy, and they did. But the fact that they're ending, I was really not satisfied whatsoever. But as soon as he hit that Sister Abigail on the barricade, I was like, wow, great move. But then he brought him in the ring, hit another Sister Abigail, pretty much in the middle of the ring, and pinned Daniel Bryan 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring cleanly. I was surprised. I was very shocked that Bray Wyatt pinned Daniel Bryan. I mean, how over is that? That's going to put Bray Wyatt over so well that he's just pinned Daniel Bryan in the middle of the ring with a Sister Abigail, with pretty much no help from Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. Now, I was quite shocked that Eric Rowan and Luke Harper are actually out there, because Daniel Bryan did a promo last week on Monday Night Raw, and he said that he's happy that Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan can have a singles match and he can get him on his own, because Eric Rowan and Luke Harper won't be there because they're in the Rumble match. Now, I thought Daniel Bryan said this because he was going to be in the Rumble match himself, and the fact that he was already in a match earlier against Bray Wyatt, it would make you think, well, no chance he's going to be in the Rumble if he's already had a match tonight, and he enters. That's why he probably mentioned that Eric Rowan were in the Rumble match and wouldn't be at ringside. So it led me to believe that they said that so that when Daniel Bryan enters the Rumble as well, then you're surprised. But the fact that Eric Rowan and Luke Harper were out there during the Bray Wyatt match, even though Daniel Bryan said that they wouldn't be, was a mistake by the WWE, because they probably didn't realise that Daniel Bryan had actually said that. But that was probably one of the reasons why I thought maybe not that Daniel Bryan is going to win the Royal Rumble. But I was just a mistake the WWE did by having them two guys out, even though they said that he wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be there. But very surprised that Bray Wyatt got the victory against Daniel Bryan. I mean, Daniel Bryan is the hottest guy in the WWE right now. He is so freaking over. He's the most over guy in the WWE in the last 10 years, and then he gets defeated by Bray Wyatt. Daniel Bryan will probably have a huge match again at WrestleMania 30. There are rumours he will face Sheamus. I'm not sure how much that I believe so far, but the fact that Daniel Bryan is so over right now and it's only January, his year is going to be absolutely huge. They're probably going to give him the world title and probably give him a good run with the world title. And it's only January, but his first match, and they've given him a loss. And for no reason whatsoever. I mean, we don't want this feud anymore. I've just said I was bored at TLC of this feud, and now was even bored at the Royal Rumble. The match was good, but I wasn't really bothered about the feud. The match was good, but I wouldn't really have minded whoever was in the ring. I mean, I didn't really care about Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. I just wanted a good match. But the fact that the heels won here, the feud still hasn't really been put to bed. I mean, Daniel Bryan really still hasn't come out on top on the Wyatt family and Bray Wyatt. So that may mean we will have maybe one more match at a pay-per-view. Maybe. We're not particularly sure yet, because what happened in the main event against Randy Orton and John Cena. But we'll all have to wait and see. But the fact that the heel won here is really surprising. I mean, the face hasn't won, Daniel Bryan hasn't won, so maybe we still have one more match left in this feud. And the fact that I wasn't even interested at TLC, they really should have just put this feud to bed. And the fact that Daniel Bryan loses for no reason whatsoever, loses a lot of momentum, considering he was in the middle of the ring. It was pretty much a clean victory. He loses a lot of momentum for that, for no reason whatsoever. I thought, surely if he's lost, he's got to win the Rumble. They're doing that to make you think he's been taken out and there's no chance he can recover in 2 hours and go in the Rumble match. Surely that's why they've given him the loss. And then he didn't even enter the Rumble match. I mean, their loss was completely pointless. Why did they need to give a loss to Daniel Bryan? The only reason why I can think they do this is because they want to make a big match against Bray Wyatt and John Cena at WrestleMania. But to be honest, I don't even buy into that. So I can't buy into that. That's not something that would particularly interest me. I'm not sure if I could really get into that match. I'm not saying I won't. I'd like to see how they do that or how they go about it, because thinking in my head, I'm not particularly sure how they do it. But to be honest, the only reason why they probably gave the win to Bray Wyatt here was because they want to start building this guy's momentum up for a big match against John Cena at WrestleMania. But I just can't see why they'd have to give a loss to Daniel Bryan. He's so over. It was a clean victory by Bray Wyatt. I mean, how much momentum is Daniel Bryan going to lose from that? And he still hasn't defeated the Wyatt family. He still hasn't got rid of them. Is this feud still going to continue? I don't know. Will Daniel Bryan team up with John Cena to take on some of the Wyatt family members? I don't know. I'm just sick of this Wyatt family and Daniel Bryan feud, and not particularly sure how they're gonna remove the Wyatt family versus Daniel Bryan feud, considering the heel has won again. I don't know. just surprised Daniel Bryan lost, to be honest, and even more surprised at the fact that he lost, but wasn't even in the Rumble match. I mean, I thought maybe they'd give him the loss so that you're surprised when he enters the Rumble match, but he didn't even do that. So very, very shocked that they even gave Daniel Bryan the loss. I mean, he was so over, and they even have the cheek to give a loss to Daniel Bryan. I mean, how bad does that just pisses the crowd off in the first match. I mean, the match was so good, and then they had to ruin it by giving Daniel Bryan a loss. I mean, that just really annoyed the crowd to give the first match, and the fan favourite, the biggest fan favourite, gets a loss, which is disappointing. But for me, I'll give that match a 8 out of 10. I'll be lenient. I thought the quality, the entertainment of the match was great. Just wasn't a fan of the ending whatsoever, and gave Daniel Bryan a loss for pretty much no reason whatsoever, which does make me to believe that they're going to make a big deal about this Wyatt family versus John Cena feud coming up at WrestleMania 30. But for whatever, we'll go on to the next match, which of course was Brock Lesnar versus The Big Show. And yes, of course, Brock Lesnar did in fact defeat The Big Show. My prediction was right here, guys. Really, really easy prediction to get right. It was really, really not hard whatsoever. I mean, Brock Lesnar, I'm Brock Lesnar's biggest fan. I had to go with Brock Lesnar. If you follow me on Twitter, which I'd recommend you do, I'm just a huge fucking Brock Lesnar fan. I love him to pieces. He's an absolute beast. There's no guy in the WWE that gets me more pumped than Brock Lesnar. So he returned on the last Monday Night Raw before 2013, basically proving that he's going to be a big deal in 2014. So his first match since returning, he had to get the win. They had to put this guy over. He looked weak as hell against Big Show in the build towards this match. I think they only had the opportunity to build they only had 2 opportunities to build towards this match, once on Old School Raw and once on this week's Monday Night Raw. Due to the fact that Lesnar's contract is quite limited, it was difficult to build towards this match. So I was expecting a good match so you could actually remember this feud. But to be honest, huge disappointment. Another bit of disappointment on this pay-per-view. But to be honest, the fact that it was so predictable, the fact that it was Lesnar's first match since returning, the fact that he wants to make an impact, the fact that he's probably going to get a world title match at Elimination Chamber, maybe it might be in the Chamber, or they might have a singles match between Lesnar against Randy Orton, then this guy had to make an impact. I mean, the fact that he was made to look so weak going into this match against Big Show. Big Show came out twice on both of their segments. The segments were good long segments, but Big Show always came out on top, and they purposely did that so that when Brock Lesnar won, it wouldn't make Big Show look as weak as he should. But to be honest, I was never fully into this feud. I mean, this is Big Show, the guy that was crying over Stephanie McMahon only a few months ago in around October time. Yet you're supposed to believe this guy is trying to take out Brock Lesnar in a feud. I mean, I was never really bought into it in the first place. I never really liked big versus big guys. But the biggest disappointment about this was the match lasted like 10 seconds. It was a huge disappointment. I mean, this is probably the match I was most looking forward to. And the fact that we hardly even got a match was just a huge disappointment. I mean, there'll be a lot of guys out there that bought this pay-per-view to maybe watch this match. I mean, my prediction videos, this was the most watched match. I mean, I think it had like 40,000 views. My prediction video has 40,000 views as of doing this review. It was obviously a popular feud. It was obviously a popular match. Some people wanted my prediction on this match. They wanted to see it, basically. So the fact that they had such a shit match and just a huge disappointment was a huge surprise. I mean, this was one of the biggest matches on the pay-per-view. A lot of people would have bought this pay-per-view to watch this match. And the fact that we didn't really even get a match is just a huge kick in the teeth. A huge disappointment. And this is really where the pay-per-view went downhill. I think it started to go downhill as soon as Bray Wyatt got that pinfall. It started to go downhill. And this is really where I was getting slightly pissed off at WWE. I mean, they gave a huge 10-minute segment of Big Show getting hit by a chair multiple times by Brock Lesnar, and this was before the match even started. This reminded me of a Raw segment. I mean, the crowd weren't even reacting, yet they gave it a good 5 or 10 minutes of Brock Lesnar just hitting Big Show with the chair. The crowd weren't reacting. It was given way too much time. People just wanted to get on with the match. They wanted the bell to ring, and nobody cared. nobody cared whatsoever. We didn't care. It was just an example of a Raw or SmackDown segment. I mean, it put over Brock Lesnar's monstrous character so well, but what would have put over his monstrous character even better was if both guys just had a match and Brock Lesnar dominated. This doesn't exactly put over his monstrous character when the only reason why he got the win was, or what you can see the only reason why he got the win was because he hit Big Show numerous times with a steel chair before the match. What would have put over Brock Lesnar even more was if they just let these guys fight without any steel chair before the match and just let Brock Lesnar dominate, like what he did in the CM Punk match. This just makes Brock Lesnar look really, really weak because he had to use this. It makes you look like he had to use a steel chair to beat Big Show. I mean, why couldn't they just let these guys have a match and prove Brock Lesnar could win Big Show cleanly rather than making him look like a pussy and just beat Big Show with a steel chair before the match had even started? I mean, even the F5 was a bit dodgy. I mean, Brock Lesnar was struggling to keep Big Show up. He was moving around the ring trying to keep his balance, and when he did in fact hit the F5, he didn't even land on his face, he landed on his back. So for me, huge disappointment. And then as soon as he got the pin after about a minute, I mean, even Brock Lesnar took a KO punch, but he wasn't pinned, so that did put over Brock Lesnar quite well. But the fact that it looks like he only won because he used the steel chair, and Big Show only didn't manage to get the pin because he was too out of it to take advantage of the KO punch, or because of that steel chair. So it's not a clean victory. The best way to put over a superstar is from a clean victory, not from just beating somebody down with a lame, boring segment for 5 minutes before a match with a steel chair when the crowd really, really didn't react or anything like that. Just made for a lame bit of a pay-per-view. People pay for this, and then we get a lame 10-minute segment of Brock Lesnar just hitting Big Show with a chair. And then he won, which is good, puts him over quite well, but there's nothing better than a clean victory. But for me, the good fact that they've put Brock Lesnar over, but the fact that he may have a world title match at Elimination Chamber, and his first match where he returns isn't a clean victory, doesn't exactly put him over. It puts over his monstrous gimmick, but it doesn't really put him over as a superstar. They should have given him a clean victory. I mean, it was a shit match. Very, very big disappointment. The fact that I was looking forward to this match the most, and it was a huge disappointment, just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Am I going to buy into another Brock Lesnar match? Of course I am, but huge disappointment when the fact that this could have been a huge match, way to kill a good feud that they had. I mean, the segments they had were great. I wasn't a huge fan of the fact that they made Brock Lesnar look so weak going into this match, but it was just a big way to kill a good feud they had going with something that isn't memorable whatsoever. I'm not going to remember this. I mean, it was just a lame-ass segment which could have been seen on any week of Monday Night Raw. And then as soon as Brock Lesnar got the pin, he carried on doing what he did before, even though he didn't get a reaction the first time. It was just another waste of 5 minutes. And what they think they're probably going to do with this is they're probably going to leave Big Show They're going to probably leave Big Show off TV, probably until maybe after WrestleMania time. Maybe they make him return the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. But that'll probably be the ways they put over Brock Lesnar, that they maybe put Big Show out for a few months. That would be a good way to put over Brock Lesnar. That would be something that they could do, or way they did this to put over Brock Lesnar. Because I've just said, if you want to put over somebody, give him a clean victory. But that would put over Brock Lesnar if they did make Big Show go out for a few weeks, or maybe even a few months, would be a very, very good way to put over Big Show. Maybe even tomorrow night he actually gives him a Kimura lock and puts him out for a few months. That would be a good way to put over Brock Lesnar. But I would have liked to see a good 10 to 20 match between these beasts, which would have been definitely a good match. I mean, even if they had maybe another week's build towards it, I would have been very, very disappointed that they didn't have a proper match. To be honest, I am still disappointed, but you know, it may put over Brock Lesnar quite well, depending on how they go with it. But for that, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Very, very big disappointment. The fact that I'm a Brock Lesnar fan, I think he could have brought out the best in Big Show, and the fact that we didn't really even have a match, proper match, is a big disappointment. So, the match which nobody cared about at TLC was now a match at Royal Rumble. You can see a trend here, can't you? Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan at TLC. didn't really care about it. And then you've got Randy Orton versus John Cena. Still don't care about it, even though it's at the Royal Rumble. But, you know, they still think people care about this, and we really don't. We really, really don't. I mean, it was a huge disappointment at TLC that the unification match was between Randy Orton and John Cena. A feud that we've seen so many so many times. Yet, in probably the biggest match of WWE's history in the last 10 years was another John Cena versus Randy Orton feud. I mean, they're arguably the top two guys in the WWE for the last 10 years, so I can see why they did that. But we didn't care for it at TLC. We didn't care for the feud. We've seen it all before. Wasn't really anything special. So when Randy Orton won, it just didn't feel big, because we've seen these guys go at it so many times. The victory was slightly tainted because we've seen it numerous times before. So it wasn't really something I cared about at TLC. I was glad they unified the titles, but the fact that Orton won, who is just really boring, was bad. And I didn't want Cena to win, but I thought I didn't want Orton to win either, so there wasn't really a win-win. But the fact that we now had another match at the Royal Rumble between these guys against two guys I find very, very boring. I have no interest whatsoever in this feud or these two superstars. And the fact that we had a match at the Royal Rumble again between these guys, nobody cared about it whatsoever. There was boring chants the whole way through. There was Daniel Bryan chants. There was yes, yes, yes. There was Randy Savage. There was we want divas. We want refunds. There was Undertaker chants. The crowd were doing anything. There was we want table chants. The crowd were doing anything to distract from their match, because they didn't care about this feud. We didn't really care about it at TLC. And this is actually a huge kick in the face to WWE. And they should learn from this, because this is the first WWE World Heavyweight Championship match defense. This is the first defense Randy Orton or the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match will have. And the fact that it was in a match where the crowd really, really didn't care about it or react at all throughout the whole match is a huge disappointment. And the fact that when Randy Orton came out and his theme song hit and the crowd didn't react, the fact that it's the first WWE World Heavyweight Championship defense is a really, really bad way to start this new title. A very, very, very bad way to start this new title. The fact that the crowd or the universe didn't care for the first world title match on a pay-per-view. Very, very bad way to start this new title. Really, really bad way. I can't think of... Wow, that's a really, really bad way to start it. And the crowd didn't care. It was pretty boring until maybe the last 5 minutes. I thought it did get good after Randy Orton hit the AA on John Cena. I thought just as that was a big turning point in the match entertainment-wise. I did think it did get quite entertaining after that, but the crowd were into it the whole way through. I mean, it was just boring. There was loads of sleeper holes. The feud was dead. There wasn't really much build. I think the build they did do towards it, where John Cena's father got took out and then they chased each other last week on Monday Night Raw, the build was quite unique. I think the things that they did with it haven't really been seen before. They obviously tried to make it stand out, but they obviously still didn't use this as something to sell the pay-per-view. They must know that people don't want to see this feud, so they don't really go all out in building this match, because they know people really don't care about it, but they still needed to do this match, considering John Cena still had to have a rematch. So they didn't really go full out on building this match, which was good, because the fact that the match was such a disappointment and really, really boring wasn't too bad. That the fact that they didn't rely solely on this selling the pay-per-view. But still, you want a good match on a pay-per-view. People pay good money to see this, and the fact that we've got a regurgitated bullshit match yet again, which wasn't particularly great either, which went on for a good 20-25 minutes, and a good 20 minutes wasn't good whatsoever, is quite a disappointment. But to be honest, it got good as soon as the referee was took out. Basically, John Cena got Randy Orton in the AA position, and as soon as Randy Orton was struggling to get out the AA, he hit the referee in the face by accident with his legs. The referee was out, and then what happened was John Cena got Randy Orton in the STF. Randy Orton tapped out. Obviously, the referee wasn't there. WWE logic. The referee didn't see it because he was obviously taken out. And the crowd didn't react. The crowd didn't react. They didn't care at all. So the referee got up. Randy Orton, I think he hit an RKO, he pinned John Cena, he kicked out. And then you got an AA by Randy Orton on John Cena, you got an RKO on Randy Orton by John Cena, you had an SDF by Randy Orton, you had a crossface fight John Cena. To be honest, that was actually quite a good storytelling. I was entertained by that. I thought it was pretty good. The last 5 minutes had some good pacing. There was definitely some good spots, like I've just said, but I was never really entertained by the feud, so I was just snoring through this match. I really didn't care. I didn't really care about the outcome. So it was just a dead match. It was just a dead point on the pay-per-view. I just wanted it to finish. It just wasn't a good, memorable part of the pay-per-view. And as soon as this is finished, I mean, you could just tell then I was struggling to remember what actually happened in this match. I mean, really didn't care whatsoever what happened during the match, and I just can't remember anything special which really happened through the match. I'm not going to remember this tomorrow when I do my Raw preview. Anything happened in this match. I mean, that's definitely not something you want to be hearing about a pay-per-view. But anyway, the Wyatt family came out for no reason whatsoever. Basically, it went, choo, and then their logo showed up, or the whatever, that usual thing that shows up. And then all three members of the Wyatt family were in the ring. John Cena tried to attack them. He got distracted. Obviously, as usual, RKO out of nowhere. It's not out of nowhere, but Michael Cole still says it every time. So not really a special ending, maybe something you'd really see on a Raw or a SmackDown, something like that as an ending to a match. Obviously not another clean win by Randy Orton, which really doesn't put him over. I mean, are we supposed to buy into a Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton match, Elimination Chamber, when both guys haven't got a clean win on this pay-per-view? Are we? I mean, Randy Orton obviously didn't get a clean win here, and Brock Lesnar didn't really get a clean win, obviously, earlier in the night. So are we going to buy into both of these guys? Does it put over both of these guys? Of course not. But John Cena, they still don't give a clean loss to this guy. They're still trying to keep this guy going. The reason why they're doing that is because they're going to do a Wyatt family versus John Cena or maybe Daniel Bryan feud at WrestleMania. That's why they didn't want to give a clean loss to John Cena, because they want to keep his momentum, but they also want to give a reason for John Cena to go after the Wyatt family. But to be honest, it reminds me of something which would happen on a Monday Night Raw, rather than a pay-per-view where people pay good money to see a clean match. They want to see a clean win. They want to see somebody win or come out as a winner and a clear loser. But the fact that something like that had happened on a Monday Night Raw happens on a pay-per-view is always leaving a bad taste and a bad memory. And the fact that the WWE Network is just around the corner, you should be building your confidence in people's money about the WWE. They want to be building confidence in fans' money. So this was just another example why people shouldn't buy pay-per-views and certainly shouldn't buy the £9.99 subscription to the WWE Network. This whole Royal Rumble pay-per-view was an example as to what they've completely done wrong going into this new era of the WWE. But not a clean victory from Randy Orton. The new WWE World Heavyweight Champion doesn't get a clean victory in his first win. Kind of downgrades the title as well, the fact that he still can't win. He doesn't really prove that he's a decent champion whatsoever. And they still want to keep John Cena the main guy, so don't give him a clean victory. It's just a huge kick in the teeth yet again to the universe, who just really want to see John Cena get defeated cleanly. Going to get a lot of hate for that, I can absolutely tell. But shit match, no interest whatsoever. Really didn't like the ending whatsoever. I mean, they're going to build a match between the Wyatt family or John Cena, however you like it. But would you really have thought that was going to happen? Quite surprising that it did. I was marking out the fact that it did, but it was still a bit of disappointment as well, because I wanted to see a match end with a clear winner and a clear loser, and that didn't happen. Especially on a pay-per-view, I want to see that, and it didn't happen. And the fact that the match was so bad, and then the Wyatt family came out and just disrupted an ending, is even worse. I mean, it was surprising, which is good about it, but still, I wanted to see a proper ending, and I didn't get that. And the fact that the match was so bad, and then you still didn't get a proper ending, was even worse in its own right. But for me, 6 out of 10. The build towards it was quite unique. The match itself freaking sucked. The ending was strange. Still surprising, but strange. Does it make sense? Not really. Why would the Wyatt family attack John Cena? Should be answered on tonight's Monday Night Raw. You're going to tune in tonight's Monday Night Raw to find out why they did that. Of course, that's good, because it's going to get a lot of viewers in. Of course, a lot of things that happen tonight will get a lot of viewers in. So you will watch Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. But really, is this something that should be happening on a pay-per-view? Don't know. 6 out of 10. Huge disappointment. I'm just glad that Randy Orton's now won. John Cena shouldn't have a rematch anymore, so that's finally put that feud to bed, and hopefully we never see John Cena and now Orton in a match ever again. Finally I've done that. I just really wanted to get that out there. Just huge disappointment about that match. I mean, I wasn't excited at all, so I'm not really disappointed. As such, I'm just pissed off that they had the cheek to even do this match again, and the fact that it was so bad and the crowd were chanting Daniel Bryan through the whole match is freaking awesome. I love the crowd for doing that. Wow, thanks guys for doing that. But really, sucked. I don't want to see it. I'm glad it's over. So, Batista. Oh my god. They have the cheek to give the win to Batista in the Royal Rumble 2014. Yep, they did it. They did it. They freaking did it. They fucking went and did it. They gave the Royal Rumble 2014 win, his second Royal Rumble win, to Batista. The guy who's only been in the WWE for 6 days. He's only returned in 6 days, and he's gone and won the Royal Rumble. Now that does make me believe that this contract that they offered Batista contained a lot of freaking money, but also contained a guaranteed Royal Rumble win. That's probably one of the reasons why Batista's back, because they guaranteed a win to Batista at the Royal Rumble 2014. And I am really surprised that they gave the win to Batista, considering Daniel Bryan got a loss earlier in the night for no reason, and they still gave the win to Batista. And the fact that they didn't even have Daniel Bryan in the Royal Rumble, and they gave the win to Batista. And when Batista came out, they booed the living hell out of Batista. They still gave the win to Batista. Exactly, can you see this? They still gave the win to Batista, even though they booed the living hell when he came out, when he won, when he eliminated Roman Reigns. They cheered Daniel Bryan the whole way through the show. They said yes the whole way through the Royal Rumble. And they still gave the win to the Batista, who has just returned after 4 years. People don't want to see another Randy Orton versus Batista feud. Can you really see that main event in WrestleMania 30? Do you want to see that main event WrestleMania 30? Are you going to buy the pay-per-view with Randy Orton versus Batista? No, which really makes me hope that Brock Lesnar just defeat Randy Orton at Elimination Chamber, and we get Brock Lesnar versus Batista at WrestleMania 30, because I'd really like to see that, but I'd really not like to see Randy Orton versus Batista. I mean, considering Royal Rumble 2013 was so predictable of John Cena winning, was a huge disappointment. It really was a huge disappointment. Nobody liked it. People booed. And the fact that Royal Rumble 2014, they made it even more obvious that Batista was going to win, and then he went to win. I mean, the main thing about Royal Rumbles is the surprise factor, the returns. And the fact that Kevin Nash was the only guy that returned, and Batista won when we almost 99% knew that he was going to win, but we just didn't want to admit it, and he went and won. Just isn't special whatsoever. It's not surprising. Makes the Royal Rumble just craps on the Royal Rumble. I mean, the main reason why I was looking forward to the Royal Rumble every year is the surprises. That's not a surprise. That's a huge shame. That's a huge disappointment that Batista's gone and won. Boo. I mean, I'm so pissed off. I mean, the crowd was so pissed off when Rey Mysterio was the number 30 entrant instead of Daniel Bryan. I mean, oh my god. I'm going to do a full review of this Royal Rumble right now, but I'm just pissed off. So, let's do this. The list of entrants go: CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Damian Sandow, Cody Rhodes, Kane, Alexander Rusev from NXT, you might not have heard of him, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston, Jimmy Uso, Goldust at number 10, then you've got Dean Ambrose, Ziggler, R-Truth, Nash, Roman Reigns, Carly, Sheamus, Miz, Fandango, El Torito, Antonio Cesaro, Luke Harper, Jey Uso, JBL, Eric Rowan, Ryback, Alberto Del Rio, Batista at the number 28 spot, of course, Biggie Langston, and then Rey Mysterio. So that's all the entrants of the Royal Rumble 2014, and we're going to go all through the whole Royal Rumble entrance. So of course, CM Punk did in fact start the Royal Rumble. Now this was a good way to put over the authority in Kane's new character. Now in the first few weeks of Kane, of the last few weeks, they've actually been putting over Kane quite well. They've obviously been making this guy more relevant as the weeks go, because he locked the cage in the Raw main event between Bray Wyatt and Bryan. He's been making a lot of decisions. He made 2 TLC matches, so they're giving it to Kane. They're letting him run with it. They're actually making him do a lot of things on WWE and Monday Night Raw as of lately, and SmackDown. They're actually making Kane run a lot of SmackDown's show quite a lot recently. So to me, the reason why they did this was they're trying to build a match between Triple H and CM Punk at WrestleMania 30, and they're using Kane as a stepping stone to bigger and better things for CM Punk at WrestleMania 30. And the fact that Kane put him in the #1 entrant does make Kane look rather relevant, but also builds the authority versus CM Punk, and should make CM Punk ask Triple H in the authority, or make him have more hatred towards them. So that's why they basically gave him the #1 spot. Very, very good storytelling, a good way to basically build CM Punk versus Triple H, give him a #1 entrant, which is a very, very good. Didn't really like the fact that they were basically saying that #1 is actually a very, very good way to win the Royal Rumble. A lot of people have won it. I think it's 2 guys have won it from the #1 spot or something like that. I mean, they didn't really necessarily need to mention that, when the fact that they should be putting over Kane's decision by putting him in #1, but they're basically saying 2 guys have already won it at #1, so it doesn't really make it sound like a bad thing at all. Maybe they shouldn't have really mentioned that, because what Kane did is supposed to be a bad thing, but they were saying that #1 is actually a lucky number, and a few guys have actually won from that spot, so it doesn't necessarily make Kane's decision look that bad at all by putting CM Punk in #1. But the #2 entrant was actually who I predicted it would be. I thought it was either going to be Ambrose or Seth Rollins, and it was in fact Seth Rollins, because CM Punk and Seth Rollins had a very, very good match on the last Monday Night Raw before the 2014, and they obviously went with this again. That's why they put CM Punk and CM Punk in here. They obviously still have a bit of a storyline between each other. They had a good match, so they knew it would be a good opening to the Royal Rumble. No Chris Jericho returning here. I thought it would have been a possibility to get Chris Jericho and CM Punk to start the Rumble match, but would they really have liked Chris Jericho to return the same way he did last year? Wouldn't really have felt special at all. You want to have somebody return differently. I mean, it's the same Chris Jericho every time he returns, so the fact that there was a possibility he'd return the same way he did last year would have been maybe a bad way. I mean, it's always the same character, Chris Jericho. He always acts the same. He doesn't evolve. He doesn't change. So if you were going to bring him back in the same fashion as last year, wouldn't really have been that special. So maybe they'll bring him out for a WrestleMania match. I would really, really like that. But he's currently not on the plans, actually. So that could have been a possibility to actually have CM Punk and Chris Jericho start, but I can see why they didn't do that. And he was actually busy this week doing interviews in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, he did actually tease about being there, but, yeah. Seth Rollins and CM Punk had a decent showing to start off with. They obviously gave it to these guys to have a good showing and start the Rumble match off well. They knew these guys had started off well, but really, nobody really looks at the wrestling in the Royal Rumble match. They just look at the spots and who's going to win. So, for me, it doesn't really matter who starts a Rumble match or who ends, really. It's all about who wins and a few spots in this match. So really, I don't really care who started the match. It was all about who won it. So for me, Seth Rollins and CM Punk had an okay showing at the start. I don't really remember anything much about it at all. Damien Sandow came out next. Nothing really much to say about Damien Sandow. Would have been great if he actually had a good showing, because he had a very, very poor year of 2013 to end. I mean, he won the Money in the Bank, but he had a big loss to Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. And then what happened? Then he lost his Money in the Bank briefcase. He cashed in and lost against the John Cena, who could hardly even move. So he actually got buried completely. So the fact that Damien Sandow came in at 3 and then was the first to get eliminated, was a huge disappointment. I think it would have been a good way to put over Damien Sandow, who really hasn't had a good showing in the last few months. I think he's one of the guys who'd really benefit from having some TV time, from going off TV for a bit, because his character is absolutely dented at the moment. He looks so weak. He got absolutely squashed numerous times to end this year. He ended this year probably on the biggest low out of all the superstars. He looked so weak when he failed to cash in. So the fact that he comes out as number 3 in the Royal Rumble and is the first to be eliminated, huge disappointment, and buries Sandow even more. Would have been a good opportunity to put him over, but they obviously had plans for other guys to get put over in this Rumble match. So doesn't look great for Sandow at the moment. So, Sandow was actually eliminated by CM Punk, by the way. So, Cody Rhodes came out at number 4, had a great showing, and in fact got eliminated by his brother Goldust by accident. So that's going to start the breakup between Cody Rhodes and Goldust, and that's definitely a feud I can really get myself into. I know that's probably one of the reasons why they dropped the tag team titles on the Kickoff show. Yet again, the fact that they dropped them and they're going to build this match between Goldust and Cody Rhodes on the Kickoff show would have been felt more special and bigger if they'd lost it on an actual pay-per-view where people pay money to see it. But this is going to start something between Goldust and Cody Rhodes, and I can really get into that. I mean, are you really going to remember a elimination in the Rumble, considering Roman Reigns did the exact same thing to his partner, and it was an accident by Goldust? I mean, is it something you're going to remember? Is that something you can build a feud off? An accident, and Roman Reigns did the exact same thing, but on purpose? I mean, is that going to be an elimination you're going to remember, Goldust and Cody Rhodes? I mean, even I can't even remember what happened. I just remember Goldust eliminated Cody Rhodes. Are you really going to remember that? Are you going to create a feud off that? I think it would have been better if maybe even they turned on him. I mean, not necessarily an accident, which really isn't that memorable whatsoever. But Kane then came out as the number 5 spot, which really doesn't make sense whatsoever. I mean, Stephanie McMahon said on Monday Night Raw that you're not supposed to put your hands on a WWE superstar, and then he enters himself into the Royal Rumble match, which really doesn't make sense whatsoever. I mean, he's not even supposed to put his hands on an opponent and then enters himself into the Royal Rumble match. But sadly, it didn't last long whatsoever. He actually got eliminated at the number 2 spot. He actually was the second elimination in the Royal Rumble, and he got eliminated by CM Punk. So far, CM Punk, in fact, has already eliminated 2 guys, which does put over CM Punk really well for CM Punk. And he was actually the third last guy to get eliminated, which does put over CM Punk rather well. So, that's something to get your teeth into for the actual, Triple H feud. I mean, I was surprised that, I wasn't surprised at all at what happened at the end. When Kane actually eliminated CM Punk, I actually predicted that myself as well, and that definitely does build a match between Triple H and CM Punk, and really something you can get into. But the fact that there's so many eliminations, can you build so many feuds off this? I mean, you've got The Shield, you've got Cody Rhodes and Goldust, you've got Kane and Triple H. Are you really going to build so many matches off eliminations at the Rumble? I mean, the only elimination I can really remember is The Shield and the Kane one. So, I don't know how they're going to use all them. But really, the next guy to come out was Alexander Rusev. Yes, I don't watch NXT, so I didn't actually know who this guy was. So the crowd didn't react to this guy whatsoever. But actually, this guy is a freaking beast. I think he's from Bulgaria, and he actually had a very good showing. He looked really good. I think he hit a few suplexes. He hit some huge powerful punches. He looks like a mean guy. I mean, I'm not sure if he's face or heel. I don't think it really matters in a Royal Rumble, considering he's still in NXT. I'd be interested to see if they actually make this guy debut on Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, because they did the same thing with Bo Dallas last year, and now he's dropped back to NXT. He had a little bit of a feud with Wade Barrett. He got a win over him, and then he went back to NXT. So, I'm not sure what they'll do with this Rusev guy. He looks like a good guy. He looks like a really good guy I can like. Biggie Langston reminds me of Biggie Langston. So I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do anything with this Rusev guy and he goes back to NXT. But the fact that they didn't really explain why he was in this match may be different out, because Bo Dallas was in the match last year because he won an NXT match on the Royal Rumble weekend thing that they do. So maybe Rusev, the fact that they didn't really give a reason why he was in that Rumble match, maybe the fact that is actually making a break to the roster, or the fact that I've never heard of him, there's probably a few more guys in front of him that are probably in line to debut in line to get onto WWE. So the fact that he's the guy makes me believe that he's probably not going to be around for much longer and he'll slip back to NXT, because I've not even heard of this guy. So there's a few guys that are probably in front of him to probably go on WWE TV. He's not really the main guy, which is going to go on Joint TV, even though I haven't even heard of him. So the next guy was Jack Swagger. Didn't exactly have a great show. Kofi Kingston. Now, you all knew they were teasing it the whole week that he was going to have a special spot through this match. And basically, my stream went off, and then when it went back on, it froze and I had to find another stream. Kofi Kingston had landed himself on the barricade, the two barricades which are separate, where the ramp usually is. He landed on one of them and basically had a run up and jumped from the barricade back on the apron and went back in the Rumble match. Now, I was disappointed last year when he used a pogo sticked on JBL's chair. JBL wanted to remind us that a million times that he did that. He basically pogo sticked back onto the ring, and he got eliminated as soon as he did that. So I was quite disappointed last year, the fact that he did an awesome spot and then got eliminated straight away. But this year, Kofi Kingston did an awesome spot, and then he stayed in for quite a long time after that. I think he got eliminated. He was the 7th elimination by Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns came in at number 15, and Kofi Kingston came in at number 8. So Kofi Kingston was in for quite a long time after he did that spot, unlike last year when he did a great spot and then just got eliminated, which was quite a disappointment. So the next guy was Jimmy Uso, and then you had Goldust, and then you had Dean Ambrose, you had Dolph Ziggler, who got a huge pop, by the way, guys, R-Truth, and then you had Kevin Nash, who got another huge pop. But I don't really see the point of bringing back Kevin Nash when he didn't really have a good showing. I mean, I could definitely see them using Kevin Nash in the cooperation, in the Authority. I could definitely see them using Kevin Nash in the Authority on tonight's Monday Night Raw. But Kevin Nash was their 9th elimination by Roman Reigns. Now, why would they bother bringing back Kevin Nash when he didn't really have that great of a showing? I would have liked to see him maybe like the 5th guy at the end, maybe something like that. I don't think the reason why they brought him back for him not really to do anything. But he was apparently in Pittsburgh to do a TV taping. So I was quite surprised that he was actually at the Royal Rumble, because somebody said to me on Twitter, now he's not returning, he's just did Pittsburgh to do some TV thing. So the fact that he was actually there, I was like, yes! I was marking out, it was great. So Kevin Nash, number 14, but really didn't have a great showing whatsoever, so a bit of a disappointment really. Just a little bit of a mark out moment right there, and he did clutch his quad through the match. Roman Reigns coming at number 15 halfway through the Royal Rumble now. And by God, how well did they put over him? He's hit so many spears. He got 12 eliminations. Who did he eliminate? He eliminated Kingston, Ziggler, Nash, The Great Khali, Goldust, El Torito, JBL, Luke Harper, Antonio Cesaro, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Sheamus. 12 guys. Defeats Kane's thing of eliminating 11 guys in one Rumble. And now Roman Reigns has now eliminated 12 guys in the Rumble. How well does that put him over? And by the way, how well did they put over Alexander Rusev that they needed every guy in the ring to eliminate him? I just wanted to say that. I forgot about that. But to Roman Reigns, how well does that put him over? He hit spear after spear. I think he hit a spear on Kevin Nash as well. And he, in fact, eliminated Kevin Nash, which puts him over quite well. I mean, he's not a small guy. I mean, he eliminated Khali. He eliminated Kevin Nash. He eliminated Sheamus. I would have liked to see an El Torito spear on El Torito, but he didn't do that. He eliminated Goldust from the Attitude Era. He eliminated Ziggler, Kingston. These guys don't really matter. It's just adding up the numbers. And he also eliminated Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, which is going to start a feud between all three of them towards WrestleMania 13. Now, I'd much rather him leave this until WrestleMania 13, have a triple threat match, but maybe this will be the start of something. Maybe tomorrow night they'll start patching things up and then it'll come out at Elimination Chamber. I wouldn't want this at Elimination Chamber. I definitely think this is a WrestleMania match. So really, they're starting this early. Hope they don't do it at Elimination Chamber. Definitely think that they should do this at the WrestleMania rather than Elimination Chamber. And I also hope they do a triple threat match rather than maybe a 2-on-1 match. something like that. I wouldn't really like a 2-on-1 match or maybe a singles match between two of the guys from The Shield. Anyway, I'm just really pissed off that Daniel Bryan didn't win. But, yeah, whatever. WWE just hate their audience. I mean, Mick Foley tweeted, he said, does WWE actually hate their own audience? I've never been so disgusted with a pay-per-view. I mean, wow. I'm just really pissed off. I just want to get this review done. I'm just pissed off. But, then you had Roman Reigns obviously come out at 15. The Great Khali didn't really do anything. Sheamus got a huge pop. Had a great showing as well. He hit the bro kick a few times. He had a really, really great reaction from the crowd. It's great to see him back, but doesn't look like he's returned as a face. I mean, he got such a good reaction. I wouldn't be surprised if they returned him as a face, which is a big disappointment because I don't think he's a good face at all. He's a much better heel. As soon as he came out of the WWE, I think he got injured earlier in the year. I think he was reportedly out for 6 months. I think it was in the summer realm. I think it was just after the Money in the Bank, was it? The Sheamus was out. I think it might have been the Raw after Money in the Bank that they were like, oh, he's out for 6 months. I was like, good. Slightly, because I was getting bored of the character. So the fact that he got a good reaction in the Rumble may make WWE make him return as a face, because there were rumours earlier this week that he will face Daniel Bryan at the WrestleMania 30. So that would maybe make you think that Sheamus would have to be a heel, but the fact that he got a good reaction in the Rumble would suggest that they will just make him a face, and they might not even do Sheamus versus Bryan. So that might be slightly disappointing and good in the same way, because I like Sheamus as a heel, but I'm also glad that they might not do Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, because I wouldn't really, really like that feud at all. The Miz came out, didn't do out. Fandango came out, didn't do it. El Torito took up Daniel Bryan's spot. I mean, they put this guy in the Rumble and not El Torito. Yeah. Exactly. Antonio Cesaro had a great show and hit the swing 3 times, I think it was. The crowd were really, really getting into that. Luke Harper came out. I mean, he didn't get a reaction whatsoever because Cesaro was busy doing the swing. Jey Uso then came out. He got eliminated straight away. JBL came out. The first time he's entered as JBL, and he got eliminated straight away. Basically, he gave his suit to Michael Cole, his jacket. Then Roman Reigns eliminated him. So it was an opportunity for Michael Cole to put over Roman Reigns that you can't turn your back on him. That was a bit of a sarcasm, a bit of things to come later in the match when he actually eliminated both Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. But yeah, whatever. We're already an hour into this review and I'm kind of pissed off. So Eric Rowan came out, didn't get a reaction. Oh no, he didn't get a reaction either. Both Wyatt family members didn't get a reaction. Ryback came out, didn't get a reaction. Del Rio came out to an alright reaction. Batista came out to huge boos, because they were thinking, yeah, this guy's winning. It was obvious. He was on the radio advert. He was on the advert. We knew Batista was winning. We just didn't want to admit it. Big E Langston came out. Good reaction. It was great that he was one of the last guys in there. Puts him over quite well. And then Twitter was like, if number 30 is Rey Mysterio, I'm done with the WWE. Because we all knew that Rey Mysterio had said he was in the Rumble, and there was only one spot left, obviously number 30, and Rey Mysterio hadn't been out. So people knew, you know, Rey Mysterio, surely not. Surely they're not going to let Rey Mysterio come out as number 30. And he came out. And everybody was fucking pissed. I mean, it's number 30. It's number 30 in the Royal Rumble. And you go into WrestleMania 30. It's the road to WrestleMania. It's the last entry into the Royal Rumble 2014. The WWE Network's just around the corner. You're supposed to be making fans happy about the WWE, making you want to watch more. And then they bring out Rey Mysterio as number 30. I mean, I've never seen a crowd killer in all my life. The crowd booed the living hell out of Rey Mysterio. They cheered when he got eliminated. I felt sorry for the guy because it's not his fault. But how disgusted was everybody? The crowd were fucking pissed off. We were so disgusted that they had the cheek to make Rey Mysterio come out over Daniel Bryan. They even gave Daniel Bryan a loss earlier in the night to tease that he might come back out in the Royal Rumble. I mean, I thought, surely they've given him a loss, so when he comes out of 30, you're surprised. But they gave a loss for no reason, because it was Rey Mysterio that came out as number 30. There was so much booze. You're supposed to be making your crowd, or you're supposed to make fans like your product. And this is the lowest approval rating in my whole life. I mean, oh my god. The crowd fucking hated it. They were so pissed off. I am so pissed off that they didn't bring Daniel Bryan back out as number 30. How over would he have been? The crowd, the whole freaking crowd would have been going yes for 30 minutes after the pay-per-view. You have yet again dropped the ball. WWE has dropped the ball on everybody. They've dropped the ball. They dropped the ball on the title run for Daniel Bryan. They've dropped the ball on one of the greatest moments in me watching wrestling. Daniel Bryan winning the Royal Rumble and going on to main event WrestleMania. The crowd going yes, yes, yes the whole way through WrestleMania. They've freaking dropped the ball yet again. And given the win to Batista because they think this guy's money. And he's not. Nobody cares. They booed the living hell. As soon as Ray came out, they booed from start to finish. Because they knew Batista was winning. And we fucking hated it. We are disgusted. It's an absolute joke that Batista wins the Royal Rumble when Daniel Bryan is the most over guy in the WWE since Stone Cold Steve Austin in the 1990s. And yet, Daniel Bryan wasn't even in the Rumble. And they gave it to Batista, who is probably the least over guy in the WWE because he's getting booed when he's supposed to be a face. I mean, what the fuck are you doing? 28, Batista comes out and he wins. It's a fucking joke. I don't want... if they do Batista versus Orton at WrestleMania, as a question, am I watching it? Because you've got Cena versus the Wyatt family. Can I be fucked with that? No, can I not be fucked with that? Orton versus Batista, can I be fucked with that? Hell no. Can I be fucked with that? Sheamus versus Bryan? No. WrestleMania 30 is not looking good. And the WWE Network is on the 28th. What is it on the... I don't know when it is. It's next month. It's in 28 days. You're supposed to be making fans get behind the WWE. And then they don't even let Daniel Bryan win the Royal Rumble. How fucking disgusting is that? How disappointing as a wrestling fan am I to see that he wasn't even in the Rumble and he doesn't even win. And they give it to Batista, the least guy I would have wanted to win. I would have even preferred The Miz to win rather than Batista. And the fact that I was excited to see this Royal Rumble is a fucking joke. An absolute fucking joke. I'm going to go now because I'm absolutely pissed off. Do subscribe for more rants about Batista heading into WrestleMania. I'd be really, really happy if they did Batista versus Brock Lesnar. But I would have been more happy if it was Daniel Bryan that won the Royal Rumble. And I'd be fucking pissed off if it's Randy Orton versus Batista at WrestleMania 30, I tell you. I'm done. So for me, this Royal Rumble match was one of my worst Royal Rumble matches I have ever seen. The only good thing about it was Kofi Kingston doing that thing. Roman Reigns defeating the record puts him over rather well. That Rusev guy looked great. Sheamus returns to a great reaction. Kevin Nash, a terrible reaction, but it was good to have a little mark out a moment there. JBL had a funny moment. Roman Reigns puts over both Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in the same throw. Who else? Goldust eliminates Cody Rhodes. We might have a feud there. And then Kane eliminated CM Punk. Now, CM Punk might use that to say that he could have won the Royal Rumble if it wasn't for Kane. That could be a way they could build a promo in there. I'm not sure, but I'm just pissed Batista won. I mean, it's pretty obvious in his contract he was guaranteed to win this Royal Rumble. I mean, I think we all knew he was going to win, we just didn't want to admit it. And when Rey Mysterio came out as number 30, I don't think I've ever been as disappointed as a wrestling fan in all my life. Actually, genuinely serious, I don't think I've been as disappointed in my life. I didn't think I could top that disappointment when Cena won last year, that Batista wins and Daniel Bryan doesn't. I mean, can you imagine the crowd going yes, yes, yes when Daniel Bryan won the Royal Rumble 2014? They fucking dropped the ball and I'm pissed off. So for me, this WrestleMania, this Royal Rumble is a disappointment, and this WrestleMania is so far looking like a disappointment. It's the Royal Rumble, you go into the WWE Network, the biggest revolution in possible TV's history, and we've had one bad pay-per-view. What a bad way to start 2014 with Batista winning the Royal Rumble, a few dodgy results, a few dodgy matches in here as well, some boring chants, everything like that. Just a lame-ass pay-per-view. I mean, the pre-show was good. I gave that a good rating. The first match was good. The result was dodgy. The next match, Brock Lesnar, was dodgy. It wasn't a clean victory. Randy Orton was boring. And then Batista winning, huge disappointment. I'm going to give this pay-per-view a 6 out of 10. If it wasn't for the New Age Outlaws defeating Cody Rhodes and Goldust, I would have said this was the worst pay-per-view I have ever seen. Huge disappointment. Really pissed off. Batista winning the Royal Rumble. How in the hell am I supposed to get by WrestleMania? I'm freaking pissed off. Goodbye, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks for watching, take care, spite your hair, subscribe, like, comment, follow me on Twitter. Batista won, fuck off.